Salute.
All right, folks, it is, I don't know, it's a day, and we're here with Underdog, and Kevin's back. What's going on? Scott and Bryn are here. Stoked.
Hey.
Pleasure to meet you, fellas.
All right, Kevin.
Glad to have you here.
First time. Glad to have you here. Yes, man. So, since we talked last, you put out a new album, and it's fucking awesome.
Thanks.
It's great, guys.
Oh, definitely.
We've excited to have it out. It's been a couple of serious years of work. I think we had hoped it was going to be out almost a year ago, and just one thing after another sort of delayed it on and off. And but I think we're very happy, and I think that was part of it, was making sure we were going to have something we were happy with. And we very much are. At least I am. I don't want to be putting words into Bryn's mouth, but
Bryn hates it.
No, there's parts of it I really like a lot.
Yeah.
When we started, we just like the whole album concept came about as a accumulation of time. We just started. Scott said, "Hey, I got some songs." I said, "Well, I got some recording gear. Why don't you come on over and we'll see what happens?" And so there you go. We just built it sort of one song at a time, and the whole concept is like, oh, let's put this out as a record, as a collection. In other words, it kind of developed over time. Now, I mean, going forward, we're already talking about, well, what's the next collection of songs going to be, and I got pieces of paper with lists, and we're already premeditating the next batch. So
Awesome.
Hopefully it will have that same spontaneous kind of a feel for it. Because some days we go in here and say, well, we got this song. How do we want it to go? So it wasn't that planned out. Perhaps this next batch might be a little more, like I say, a little more premeditated. But I think we'll still be able to grab that energy and that that spontaneity.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with him. It's a pretty organic thing, because instead of saying, "Hey, man, here's like 20 songs we've got. Let's pick the best, X number of them and work on them and record them," it was sort of like, "Hey, I've got this song, or I just wrote this song this week," type thing. Or sometimes pulling out one that we had for years and years and said, "Oh, we might
Shark Attack.
Shark Attack."
That's my shit. I heard that on that stack of 45s you sent me, and then when I saw it was on the album, I was like, oh, perfect.
Right. And
Perfecto.
two different takes of the same song. And I'm partial to both of them for different reasons, but the idea that as Bryn sort of said, it just sort of grew. At one point we're like, oh, do we just like put out an EP with like 4, 6, or 8 songs on it? And then it was like, let's just keep working on it. And some of the things were even left in what I would call like a rough mix thing. And we were like, we'll come back and finish this thing up. We'll tighten it up, the fades and all that crap, down the road. So in some cases we had to go back and revisit that. That was some of the stuff I was working on in the last couple of weeks before we actually got the thing released, was just going back and going, I'm hearing some little noise there at the end that I never noticed till I really had everything up and listening to it on the headphones, and just going back and making sure all those fade outs were good and that there weren't like long lags of space. Sometimes we have 4 or 5 seconds of just silence at the end that you don't notice it when you're just walking around, listening to it on your iPod or whatever. But suddenly when you're sequencing this thing and hearing the songs playing one right after another, and you're like, how quick do we want these things to transition? A couple of them like
Definitely
on top of each other, and I thought, nope, need to pad that one a little bit. So
another thing about the recording too is that you don't really know what the song really is until you start to build it out, and all you add the parts in there. We've been like starting with a guide guitar and a click track, and then piling the bass and the drums on there, and then adding other parts, the guitars, voices, et cetera, and then all of a sudden the song really comes to life. I think that's what the joy and the excitement is for me anyway, is that, you know, I have this idea, I can kind of hear it in my head, and then all of a sudden we get it into the Pro Tools, and it comes, you know, cranking through the speakers or the headphones. It's like, wow, so that's what that is.
This was the first time you guys recorded that you used Pro Tools, is that right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bryn was using it for about a year or more before we got together. And he had some really nice demos. I think he actually had a Shark Attack that sort of lands between the 1986-87 Hackmasters version and this, you know, 2019 Underdog version. But it was my first time using the program. Probably a couple of the other bands that I worked with in the last few years had, if not Pro Tools, some sort of digital recording interface had been going on, but there was an engineer deal with it. Suddenly we're sitting there trying to be musicians, engineering, you know, and I felt like he was sort of getting the shaft here because, you know, he was the one that had like the skill with the Pro Tools. So when you know, he's recording my guitar, voice, bass playing, and that's, you know, coming through pretty well. And then suddenly I'm sitting there behind the deck while he's recording drums and guitar, voice, and stuff. And I'm like, you know, he's getting the second tier engineer on the project at that point. But I think it, you know, it came together pretty well. And to his point, you know, you go out there thinking, okay, I've got the song in my head. I kind of can hear how I want it to sound, but you start recording it, it takes on a life of its own. Sometimes, you know, you leave and all we've gotten down is like, even like sometimes just the guy guitar. And I'd be thinking, well, like, wow, you know, this doesn't sound like quite as awesome as I thought it was going to, especially cranking through that Marshall is. I thought it was going to be like a lot more, and it's like just not there. Then you go back and like just add in like the bass and the drums and all that other stuff, and suddenly it's blasting out, and you're like, wow, this is better than I ever thought it was going to be, in fact. And
yeah, for sure.
You know, one thing I loved hearing you say, Joe, it was a clip that somebody shared, I think, with the guys that you're talking to over in England in the morning. And, well, they're, I don't know, guess it's their midday, your late night.
They're early morning and my like 11 o'clock or something like that.
Which, but it was just like, yeah, if it's got a guitar, man, I'll play it. And I thought, okay, cool. Well, we got plenty of guitars for Joe. And,
well, it's hard. I get a lot of submissions, and like, I guess I'm lucky that I have so many different shows I can put them on. But when I do the rock rage stuff, it's like I can't have like pop, hip hop shit. I need fucking guitars. It has to be rock and has to go. And that's where my boys come in here. You guys are fucking sweet. Like, that's good. It's a damn good.
Yeah, just fits right in.
It's perfect. Cool.
And we appreciate that, you know, being on the Rock Rage, the Limbo Outcast playlist that you've dropped us on a couple of times, the fact that you have started to share our music across the pond, as the saying goes, and you know, you are actually probably our biggest promoter at the moment. We may enlist you as our manager if you're free, and wow, a sticker and everything.
There you go, Joe.
I got a couple of them. Okay, you guys, you are the most generous people. You sent me that stack of friggin' 45s air mail, which is not cheap. I know that, and you know, and then I got the stickers just last week, so I appreciate it, man. I've used a couple of them, but I still got to find spots for these.
Cool, dude. Well, we can definitely send you more of those, and Kevin, if you want to give us.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll rep your guys' shit for sure. I need to put some stuff up on the walls around here anyways. So
Kevin just moved into his new house and needs some Underdog action in it.
All right. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah, man. We got the new office here, so I need to get the decor, man. That would rock out. So
and actually, yeah, because I know I sent you the MP3s, but we can get you a link. I don't know if WAV files are better for you for any reason for your broadcasting, but
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me because I thought your MP3 sounded fine to me. Like for guys who just recorded, an album for the first time with Pro Tools, I thought it sounded damn good.
Yeah, part of that, the diving into that was sort of a frustration with like the greater music industry. I don't remember if we talked about that last time, but for me, I mean, it's an economic thing. It costs dollars to make music, and I just sort of wanted to be in control and not, I figure, well, I'll spend, what was it, $30,000 or whatever to get the system in my garage, and that would be it. I wouldn't be on the hook for any further expenses necessarily, and then I could take my time and write the songs and share it with my friends, and so I'm not really in this to make a killing. I'm not making any money. I don't really care about that. I'm really just doing it to feed my soul. And if we make money, that's great. But that really isn't the main. I mean,
right.
I gotta.
Oh yeah.
I think that comes across in the music too, because what I find is the guys that a lot of guys that do this for a living, and that's what they do for their living. To me, it doesn't sound as good. It's like you guys do this because it's your passion, it's your heart and soul, but it's not the only thing you know what I mean? It's like you can separate the two, but you still just like pour it out and you have
like in a perfect world, right? In a perfect world, it would be perfect to just do your passion job that finances the rest of your life, right? But it's like it's pretty hard nowadays to be a musician and do that too. So,
well, yeah, I found that to be the case. But that's being said, though, we were just talking, Scott and I, earlier, that we're thinking, the Etherdome record, the collection, that's sort of our jumping off point. That's our introduction to the world. And, the plan is for subsequent releases, be they audio or video, which is something we want to mention too, is that that would reflect growth and greater sophistication, more, hopefully a better command of the medium, and so that the songs would, just reflect that growth. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah. To that point, I just sent Bryn a message the other day. I, got like 8 guitars tracked out for new material. So we've kind of, and I had 2 that we'd started. So I've got like 10 songs down. He's got 2 already in the bag. So
nice.
That's many things as we already had on,
on
first
Etherdome
album. But, with any luck, I'll over the weekend get like another 5 or 6 songs tracked out. And again, it's just the guitar, but then it's that idea that even if I throw down some bass and vocals and then sort of pass them over to him, he can go, this one, and this one for now. These are the ones that leap out to me. And, for Etherdome, I knew that we were battling, that we were learning the software. And I thought, let's pick songs that are sort of simple, straight ahead, and easy to, don't get bogged down trying to record some complex song while you're struggling trying to learn a complex piece of software.
You're right. Come back later.
Yeah.
Have more of the foundation for that, and then take it to the next level, right?
So
for sure.
Scott sent me a session the other day. It's called Regeneration. The lyrics are fantastic. I think that you've really done a great job with the lyrics, and I actually got a keeper drum track today for you, buddy.
Awesome.
A
cool.
Keeper. Not a scratch, Scotty. No scratch tracks.
Yeah.
Only the best.
Drums are ripping.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that song is it's not a crazily complicated song. It's just a good solid it's just a good solid song. And it's got an intro, verse, a chorus, a solo section, verse, an outro section. It's just
I don't think there's not even a bridge. It's just A-B. As a friend of mine once said, the ultimate rock song has half a part, so it's cool when you've got like a nice song that sort of, I tend to find the better ones write themselves, where it's like I just can hear where it's going next, and I'm thinking, oh, all right, cool. I'm like, yeah, that's a great bridge. That works. That holds us together. It, gives you a little bit of the ABs, then a C theme coming in and then back. And I don't know if I'm like ADHD, but most of these songs are rolling in at around 2.5 to 3 minutes. A couple of them are a little shorter. A few of them are, 3.5 to 4 minutes. I think the longest one was like 4.5 minutes on there.
I think the generation about 2.5. It's under 3, I think.
Is it? Okay, that's amazing. I tend to think of it as being long, but there's nothing worse than buying an album that has like 6 songs or 5 songs on it, and you're like, wow, only 2 of them are good, and that every time you sit down to listen to it, it's like 15 minutes of your time or something, and I don't know, especially I don't know how that works for you guys trying to format a radio show where you're like, hey, it's like I've got an hour of playlist. How much can I devote to one band? And, the other thing is how long is someone's attention going to be trapped and held in? I told Bryn repeatedly, I'd rather have somebody go, wow, that was amazing. Pick the needle up, to use a euphemism from the past, and put it back down, or hit the rewind or the back thing and listen to the song 2 or 3 times than to be tired during the last 40 seconds of eternal fade and go, all right, next song. And
for sure.
Get bored. So, again, I think that there's a lot of great songs on that album, despite the fact that they may be somewhat simplistic. Simple's good, less is more.
I think so. I think less is more.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
There's some fantastic moments. In fact, the very opening song, it's a song that I sort of didn't necessarily think of it as being like a toss off, but I thought, well, this will be, kind of what I would call like the bottom that I would want to hit by way of, what a song would be. Anything that doesn't live up to this sort of standard is probably garbage, and we don't want to like really invest time in recording. And then when we got into the recording of it, and Bryn started laying down his solo or his lead part, I should say, and it just exploded like with a bunch of feedback, and I think he had a wah-wah pedal connected to, and it just started singing and doing like all this really crazy stuff that I don't think he planned it. And I remember just thinking, well, we've got to keep that and use it, because it was just too insane not to. And the other great thing I thought is someone's going to listen to that as the opening track of the album, and they're either going to go, wow, these guys rock. I can't wait to hear more of this. So they're going to go, this sucks, and just shut it off. And I'd rather have them shut it off and walk away. We're not for everybody, but we don't try to be. But I think it's a great, this is what we're about, man. And, as you said, if you like guitars, you're going to like Underdog. If you like to hear vocals riding on top and like a band way in the back that you can barely hear, then you probably need to go listen to another radio station or find something else to get your jollies. So
yeah, touche.
Well, I like it. Like you guys, you're not hiding behind nothing. It's simple. It's in your face. It's there. It's like take it or leave it. That's what I like about it.
To Kevin's point, though, we're not relying on this for putting food on the table.
Right.
Most people I know that are musicians getting by on that are, their general business. They're doing weddings and playing in cover bands, and I'd love to say I know some session musicians, but I don't. But those sorts of people obviously get paid well to do the work that they're doing. But in each of those cases, I don't know what the artistic fulfillment is for them. I know
that's what I mean. It's probably that much, wouldn't you think? If you're playing somebody else's shit, like I've never been in a cover band, but I imagine it's just like doing karaoke. It's like, it's fun, but it's not your shit. You didn't fucking write it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we reached a point in our lives where, we wanted to make the music that we wanted to hear, and that's true. That's the original. That's where the original songwriting, and plus, I think songwriting is kind of fun, I
You dabble. You guys dabble with it for the last 3 months. You've only been writing music for 3 months. Yeah.
Some of my songs, I think I wrote my first song in 1979, and it's a terrible song, but at least I wrote it, right? You know,
Right. No,
I'm a big believer in accumulation.
absolutely. You've got to write a lot of bad songs to get even your first good one, even just to sort of.
You gotta get the ball rolling, man. You'll never know you
Yeah.
can do something until you do it.
Exactly.
You know, look at you now. No matter
It's
what.
It's all trial and error at that point. It's like you gotta write a couple duds to end up finding that the diamond, so to speak, right? So
100%.
Exactly. And and you get to learn what's working and what's not. You make your mistakes. It's like anything. If you're a writer, if you're a painter, or whatever. This notebook here, see this? This is everything in here. Every one of these pages is a song that's been written probably in the last 3 or 4 years. So the great thing is, like Bryn said, I've been writing music since 1979. So there's a lot more notebooks with a lot more songs lying around, and some of them are worth Underdog investigating, and some of them are not. So I know I've personally got about 7 or 8 albums worth of material already written, and there's constantly new stuff.
So how do you pick? How do you just you just flip through your book one day and say, oh yeah, that's.
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah. Well, my goal is now, again, that we've got these home studios that Bryn talked about, and no longer have that imminent threat of time is money hanging over us.
It's totally freeing, isn't it? You don't have to worry about shit.
It is. We're gonna record it all, man.
Record it all, man. I got 12 albums ready to go. We'll do it tomorrow. Fuck it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
The box set next week.
Oh, that would be.
I want to get this regeneration back to you, Scott, so you can lay into it some more, because it'd be cool to get this.
Yeah, we would like to release that in the next week, if possible. And
Just, you guys put this out as your new single. Why not?
No, why not? Just keep pumping out material at this point.
Depends on what's going on at work and stuff, but because our busy season, I'm a cook and I work in a kitchen, so our busy season is coming up.
Kevin does too.
Man, don't respect.
People.
Yeah, so our busy season is coming up now, because it's going to be after Halloween, the whole Thanksgiving and Christmas shenanigans, and then Hanukkah and all the eating.
Oh yeah.
All the eating is going to be like.
All the eating happens.
Oh yeah. The Christmas parties galore. They're nonstop. Even like in January, people are still having Christmas parties. You're like, fuck, it's January. Like, are you serious?
New Year's Eve, you got a party for New Year's Eve, right? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how your business is, but so I do production work, so we just cook all day. It's like a food factory in a way, but
yeah.
The COVID thing has not gotten in the way. In fact, I think it's caused because people they want to just come and get stuff
and get out. Yeah.
Yes.
And our place is small, so we don't. It's not like a giant grocery store. It's a farm stand, but we have like prepared food and stuff. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Awesome.
And it really serves a purpose in the community, and so and that was the other thing is the whole COVID nonsense, and that was another reason why we want to try to obviously the podcasts are quite awesome, but we want to try to issue some videos, and we've started to look into the whole live streaming thing. We have a couple of videos, but they were just made with the cell phone, and so they're really really like low budget. And
me and Bryn, so we want to get the whole band there to engage in this. And Bryn,
that'd be sweet.
Sniffed out some software, OBS, I think. Is that?
Yeah.
So that's free, and it's more about the do it yourself attitude. We can. We don't have to wait for the clubs to open back up, and you could just do it. Can we get
for sure
Tuesday night gig, man? It's like no, we can get a stream happening, and we can put it up there, or we can archive it. And I think that YouTube is going to be our friend in the near future too, in terms of. I mean, so many people use YouTube, so that's why I'm personally anxious to get a song or two there as well. So.
Oh, for sure, yeah. YouTube's a good tool for that.
And don't discount even just putting up like a lyric video on there. Lots of people do that.
Yeah.
You got your Ether Dome album, pick 2-3 songs off there and just fucking whatever. You're good to go. A lot of guys do that. A lot of guys
yes, like that. So many bands do that, yeah, actually.
Right.
They almost prefer that over just like the album art. Well, I do anyways, yeah. Over the album art and no words. If you put the words up, people sit there, they'll fucking listen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think people want to connect with the lyrics. I think.
Oh, for sure. Especially if you listen to like stuff like death metal, it's kind of good to get the clarification of what's actually being said sometimes.
That's not what you said. You're just arguing with him. Fuck him.
Yeah. It's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
This is good to hear because I've, personally, I tend to not be able to sit there and just watch the lyrics rolling by. And yeah, if it's just the album cover sitting there, I'll listen to it, but I'll wander off and do something.
And that works too. Either one works. It's perfect.
I personally like the lyrics though, because I want to.
So 3 out of 4 people are lyrics rolling by guy, and guess what? I'm the graphic designer during the day, so suddenly I know what I can be doing with my copious free time in the evenings, which is creating some lyric videos. In fact,
It'll be the right typeface though, man. You can't
You can't just hound that shit.
Don't worry, man.
Comic Sans or whatever.
No comments. No, don't remember that. But
for sure.
To the point that Kevin was making a minute ago, or I think Bryn brought it up, but Kevin definitely reacted to it, which is that idea of being able to, drop a song quickly here. We've always joked about the idea that, we were pretty much getting together on Saturdays and Sundays out at Bryn's place. And we found after, about the 4th song, because it took us a little while to get our shit together and, be able to be productive. But there were days we go out and go, what are we going to do today? And by the time we left, the song was recorded. And there was a rough mix, and the rough mixes pretty much are very close to what we ended up with. Very little was done in terms of any re-leveling. Again, most of what I ended up doing was, in the end, was just trying to make sure that all the songs were sort of at a consistent output, and that there was no pre or post noise happening there, and that it just sounded good, tight, and clean. And the joke was always like song of the day, song of the week. And the fact that, you could record a song in the day and just drop it, theoretically in 12 weeks, you could drop songs and, hey, that album's done. And the idea wasn't so much that we were recording albums, and not even recording collections of songs, but just the idea that like, okay, when you get 12 or 14 songs, that's about an album's worth.
Yeah.
Title it, group it, and, move on. Or the other idea was just like, you're just sort of releasing single songs, but.
And then you bring them into an album later.
Yeah, and which is essentially not totally what happened here, but and I do think that the next one is, we're gonna have, instead of taking what we've got, we're going to be able to pick from a bunch of stuff and select what we want to actually put on to the next record. Some stuff we may go, that sounds too much like this song already. Let's save it for the next one.
Yeah.
Or just, it doesn't seem to fit in with the rest of these. We're kind of fortunate that the album's pretty cohesive sound wise.
Yeah, totally.
I think that there's enough variety in the songs themselves, even though they're, it's not like the genre is pretty well defined there. It's not like it's jumping from this, that, and the other. It's not going from jazz to funk to this, that, and the other.
Right. Yeah. You're pretty much in that pocket.
Tunes, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
Next album.
It's not like I don't like it, but it's not putting it out. there's a lot of good reggae bands, and there's a lot of good reggae artists. So I don't want to, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Do it.
Don't want to step on anyone else's toes.
Just start a reggae album and say it's Underdog Man.
I read.
I edit
That's a good
everything
one.
I edit with Underdog. Yeah.
The other thing too is like there are a lot of bands and styles of music that I really like listening to, but I know that like no way in hell am I going to be able to play that stuff. It's just, not what I'm necessarily capable of doing. So, this is my lot in life, I guess. I'm happy with it where it is.
As long as you're happy with it, dude. That's all.
Yeah,
that matters.
that's all that matters, man.
I'm happy with it too, for God's sake. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
And we play to our strengths, and hopefully, as Bryn said, we do keep getting better. Things will get more refined. Again, I've got some songs they're not, symphonic or super complex in a lot of ways, but they definitely, will be a little bit more challenging for us. Hopefully
They're all challenging for me. I don't think recording is easy.
No,
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. Yeah.
It's work, but it's work that I really can. I find myself being able to put a lot of energy into. I mean, I go to my day job and I think, damn, I can't wait to go home. But then when I get to the studio, it's like studio time. I've been here 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and I'm still like, I can keep going. You know what I mean?
it's
Oh,
awesome.
for sure.
To your credit too, anytime I'll bring a song to Bryn, and he definitely goes way beyond whatever I would expect, him to do by way of putting in the time, the energy, developing the parts, and then when it gets down to the execution. There are a couple of songs that we probably, came back to over the course of 5 or 6 sessions and kept re-recording the lead part because he was not satisfied with the execution of it. He possibly had the part written and we had probably recorded it, but he was just like, it needs to be better. And I was like, that's cool, because it's really not going to be good until we're both happy with it, knowing it's as good as it's going to get. It's never going to be perfect because nothing's ever going to be perfect, and you've got to kind of accept that and be ready to kind of move on to the next thing. And and a couple of times we were just like, it's like, and I was like, don't worry, it's great, it's good. The next record's going to be better, man. Don't worry about it. The limitations that we had, we were finding certain ways and cheating to get around certain things, that now we are a little bit more, either adroit or sophisticated with using
Yeah.
now, I've actually figured out how to, write automation with it so that, we can kind of move faders up and down and not have to sit there and like hover over the board each time to do it to make it happen. It's like you can set it once and it'll always sort of trigger for you each time that the song is playing back, and you can even go in and fine tune and adjust it. So it's just like if you're trying to bring out like one part of the guitar at one moment in the song, or some drum fills here and there, a bass part or something. There were times we go back and we'd be doubling up stuff just to
Make it louder.
speak out.
Yeah.
Speak louder, have more presence in the mix, and stuff like that. That we had a friend that looked at some of this stuff at a couple of points. Definitely a sophisticated engineer, and years of recording and years of using Pro Tools, and he probably was shaking his head and groaning internally, looking at some of these things. But at the same point, he was like, we were like, oh, what could do about changing the the recording of the guitars? And he goes, don't do anything. He goes, your guitar sounds are great. Some of the other things, he gave us a couple of pointers about how to potentially re-angle some of the mics around the drums or some things like that. But it was nice to know that we were running down the right path. And I think some of that was just, you have enough years of being in recording studios. Granted, it's going on to reel tape at that point, but mic placement hasn't changed just because you're not on magnetic tape and you're going to magnetic disc. You're still capturing signal.
The fundamentals are still the same, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. and to be honest with you, the costs involved with the studio time, are one thing that, we've, eliminated that. We're not paying an engineer. We're also not having to go out and buy expensive reels of tape. You can't see it over here, but like there's a shelf just filled with old reel-to-reel tapes, and I don't know how much money is invested there, but they're also decaying.
Yeah.
Even as they're in talk, they're decaying probably. The fact that the stuff's sitting, on the hard drives here are, they're safe. They're duplicated. We've got them hanging out up in Dropbox where we can pass these files back and forth, but they're duped. If God forbid something happens here,
You still got them.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
place, and like we can download them and keep going. So they're granted there is no single one master of it, but it's saved in.
You've got the sessions anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is stuff like where we've gone back and re-recorded parts repeatedly, you wear down tape. I've been confronted with moments where someone's like, you can't keep doing this much longer before you're gonna, sort of compromise the actual quality of the signal on this one track just because you've tried recording this lead guitar part so many times, wearing it down. Had instances where somebody's like taking a tape that, that was a bad take. We'll wipe it and we'll record over it now. Had some happy instances one time where we stopped playing and then the old take sort of came rolling out immediately at the end underneath it. We left that in because it sounded cool, but there have been times where if like that old recording is like a year or two old, it's still sort of imprinted there, and the new one is never, quite free of artifacts and weirdness happening underneath it. So as much as I love, recording analog like that, it's got certain drawbacks, limitations. It's really costly. You gotta store the stuff, in primo condition for a good environment to keep it in prime condition. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man, for sure. Well, that's good. We're probably out of time here, but we'll set another one. We'll just keep going for a little bit yet, if you're down.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I see the little warning thing.
it's